10 years ago, the most legendary streak in professional wrestling came to an end when Brock Lesnar defeated The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30. How did this happen? Why did it happen? And what was the reaction to when it did happen? That's what we'll be answering. But to start, we need to go back to the beginning. The beginning of the end for Undertaker's streak started the night Brock Lesnar returned to WWE. It was the night after WrestleMania 28, and John Cena was going out to the ring to congratulate The Rock, who had defeated him 24 hours earlier. Cena called the Great One out to shake his hand in person, but instead of The Rock, Cena got Brock. Even though it was meant to be a surprise, fans were already chanting, "We want Lesnar." Brock Lesnar stared John Cena in the eye and then hit him with an F5 to end the night. 27 days after his return, Lesnar had his first match back in WWE after an 8-year absence. The Beast fought John Cena at Extreme Rules, appropriately in an Extreme Rules match. Less than a minute after the bell rang, Brock Lesnar had busted John Cena open. With an opening like that, it wasn't too surprising that Lesnar had a very dominant performance. Despite that, however, John Cena ultimately won the match. Even though Lesnar lost his first match back in WWE, it did set the tone for Brock's second run in the company. Brock Lesnar was only going to wrestle a handful of matches a year, and they would be against the biggest stars. The Extreme Rules match also showcased how a Brock Lesnar match would usually go, with the Beast getting in most of the offense. For the next year and a half, this is basically what would happen. Lesnar had feuds with Triple H and CM Punk, and Brock Lesnar also reunited with his former agent, Paul Heyman. During this time, Brock Lesnar hadn't crossed paths with The Undertaker, but that would soon change. On the final Raw of 2013, the COO of WWE, Triple H, said he had a special announcement. That announcement was the return of Brock Lesnar, who hadn't been seen since he defeated CM Punk back at SummerSlam. Lesnar, with Paul Heyman by his side, announced that he would challenge the winner of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match at the Royal Rumble. Lesnar dared anyone who disagreed to come out and face him, and one man did. That man was the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. In a pure display of power, the Beast demolished Henry. However, Brock Lesnar's screams did take the edge off a bit. Mark Henry, though, wasn't finished and confronted Brock Lesnar again a week later. Not only did Lesnar win the fight, but he also dislocated Mark's elbow. This got the attention of the Big Show, who chucked Brock across the ring and sent the Beast packing. Lesnar and the Giant came to blow once more before they finally fought at the 2014 Royal Rumble. Prior to the match, Lesnar attacked Big Show with a steel chair. Big Show still continued with the match, and while the world's largest athlete put up a fight, Brock Lesnar still won. The next night, Lesnar and Paul Heyman confronted both the World Heavyweight Champion, Randy Orton, as well as the 2014 Royal Rumble match winner, Batista. Lesnar demanded that he either face Orton for the title or wrestle Batista with the world title shot at WrestleMania on the line. The Authority, who were controlling WWE at the time, chose neither option, which led to Brock Lesnar attacking Cody Rhodes and Goldust in a match later that night. Following this, Brock Lesnar would be absent for a month, but once he returned, Lesnar would make his intentions known. To close out Monday Night Raw, Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman came out to the ring to make an announcement. While the Authority had not given Lesnar a championship match at WrestleMania, they had given the Beast an open contract, meaning Brock could challenge whoever he wanted at the biggest show of the year. Paul Heyman was ranting about how unfair this was until he was cut off. The Undertaker made his return and stared down Brock Lesnar. The dead man made the motion that he was challenging Lesnar at WrestleMania, and the Beast then signed the open contract. Brock handed Taker the pen, only for Undertaker to stab Brock with it and then chokeslam him through the table. The next week, Heyman and Lesnar shared their response. In a rare moment, Lesnar grabbed the mic to say that the Undertaker attacked him because the dead man feared the Beast. Brock added that at WrestleMania, he would conquer the streak. As he was leaving, Mark Henry wanted another shot at Brock Lesnar. Unfortunately for the world's strongest man, the result was the same as the last two times he and Lesnar clashed. The next week, Brock Lesnar wasn't on Raw, but his presence was still felt. The Undertaker made his first appearance since agreeing to fight Brock Lesnar. Before he could say anything, Paul Heyman appeared on stage and warned the Phenom not to fight Brock Lesnar. The Undertaker basically told Heyman to shove it, and that was that. 2 weeks later, The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar came face to face again. To close out Monday Night Raw, Brock and Paul Heyman came out to the ring. Heyman went into one of his speeches, but Brock cut him off. Lesnar challenged the dead man to fight right now, and while Lesnar got a response, it wasn't what he expected. A group of druids came out with a casket that was left at the edge of the ring. The Beast was spooked and worried about what was inside. Once Brock mustered the courage to open the casket, he found that it was empty. Feeling the coast was clear, Paul Heyman got back on the mic. But then, Brock got his fight, and Undertaker sent him tumbling out of the ring. The next week, Lesnar and Taker met for the last time before they faced off at WrestleMania. This time, The Undertaker would be on the defensive. The Phenom came out to the ring and explained why the streak wouldn't be broken. Brock Lesnar then interrupted and began stalking The Undertaker. With help from Paul Heyman, the Beast was able to get one over on the dead man. Now, before we talk about the actual match, we need to discuss the general vibe among fans and critics going into it. Not only was everyone in agreement that The Undertaker would win, but a lot of people had written the match off. To be fair, this was Undertaker's 22nd WrestleMania match, and while it was clear that the dead man's career was coming to an end, everyone felt that Taker still had a few more WrestleManias in him. Some journalists argued it would be dumb for WWE to break the streak, considering it was an attraction for WrestleMania. Another common reason given why Undertaker would win is that if someone did end the streak, it wouldn't be a part-time wrestler like Brock Lesnar. Despite all this, many did say that Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker could easily be the best match of the night, even though it seemed the winner was obvious. It's worth noting that there weren't any big leaks or rumors that Brock Lesnar might win. Everything was just business as usual, and the idea of Lesnar winning seems laughable. In fact, people thought it was more likely that Daniel Bryan would lose his World Championship match than Undertaker to be pinned. Everyone went to bed that night before WrestleMania 30, not realizing what was about to happen. Finally, the day came, and the winner of the match had already been decided before either man had gotten to the ring. Fans brought 22-0 signs, and The Undertaker even had a casket specially made for the Beast. In everyone's mind, the best thing that could happen is that WWE makes it feel like Brock Lesnar might win, even if for just a moment. Once the match officially started, Lesnar got most of the early offense, but it seemed to have little effect on The Undertaker. The dead man then fought back, and the match almost felt like a massacre, with Brock Lesnar being the victim. Eventually, the tide did change when Brock Lesnar targeted his opponent's legs. Even when he was in the driver's seat, Lesnar kept the pace of the match pretty slow, primarily using kicks and punches. The match started to pick up, with Undertaker hitting a chokeslam and Brock Lesnar hitting an F5, with both moves only earning a 2 count. The two then traded submissions, with Undertaker using the Hell's Gate and Lesnar fighting back with the Kimura lock. The Beast then countered an old school into a second F5, but, as expected, the dead man kept the match alive. Undertaker then responded with a Tombstone Piledriver that Brock Lesnar also kicked out of. The dead man was gearing up for one more, but this time, the Beast countered the finishing move with his own. Then, it happened. Oftentimes, in wrestling, fans know it's coming a mile away, but this wasn't one of those times. Just about every emotion was felt all at the same time. Shock, sadness, anger.
Brock ends the streak! Brock ends the streak!
This was one of the rare moments in wrestling where everything was real. The streak was a real streak that took 23 years to build. The reactions from everyone who witnessed it were real too. While the match may have been scripted, everything that came after it was not. Still to this day, fans, wrestlers, and critics argue whether the Undertaker streak should have ended. Another camp people fall into is that yes, Undertaker's streak should have ended, but not the hands of Brock Lesnar. People critical of the choice to have Lesnar end the streak usually argue that Brock Lesnar didn't need it, considering he was already a monster competitor and had been a former UFC heavyweight champion. Another criticism is that Brock Lesnar was only part-time, and the victory would have been more beneficial to someone who was there every week. The other side of the argument is that at the time, Lesnar hadn't had the best win-loss record. Since returning, Lesnar had wrestled in only 6 matches prior to his match with The Undertaker, and had been defeated clean twice. While Lesnar had won 4 of those 6 matches, 3 of them were due to a pre-match attack or some kind of outside interference. The argument being that Brock Lesnar needed the win over Undertaker to make him a legitimate threat. Additionally, another point made in favor of Lesnar was that he was the only person on the WWE roster at that time who could believably defeat The Undertaker. Undertaker. This argument could go on, but the bigger question is, why was the decision made to end the streak? Vince McMahon was asked this question later in the year, but didn't give a straight answer, just saying it was time for Undertaker to give back. The Undertaker himself has spoken about the streak ending and revealed it was a very late decision. In fact, Taker said that on the morning of WrestleMania 30, he was still scheduled to win. Getting back to the why though, it's been speculated that McMahon was worried that Undertaker didn't have many more matches left in him, and by the time someone else came along who could end the streak, Taker's in-ring career would be over. To Vince McMahon's credit, while Undertaker would wrestle for 6 more years, the dead man's quality of matches began to get lower. In fact, some of Undertaker's worst matches happened just a few years after Brock Lesnar beat him. Now, what was the aftermath of Brock Lesnar's WrestleMania victory? Almost immediately after getting backstage, The Undertaker actually collapsed and was rushed to the hospital. The Phenom had suffered a severe concussion early into the match, but did make a recovery. The injury, however, left mental wounds. Following the injury, Undertaker lost his confidence and was unsure he could still go. The dead man did eventually regain his confidence, and he credits Triple H for helping him. The night after WrestleMania 30, Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman took a victory lap, which arguably lasted a few years. The Beast disappeared for a few months after that, but once he returned, Lesnar fought the World Heavyweight Champion, John Cena. In another shock, the Beast squashed John Cena, defeating the champ with ease and winning his first title since he returned. Over the next 8 years, Lesnar won 5 more world titles and was champion for a combined 1,163 days. As for The Undertaker, despite no longer having the undefeated streak, the dead man still competed at the next 4 WrestleManias. Additionally, in 2015, Taker interfered in Brock Lesnar's world title match and cost the Beast the championship. This restarted their feud, which saw Undertaker defeat Lesnar at SummerSlam and Lesnar defeat Undertaker at Hell in a Cell. In 2020, The Undertaker had his final WWE match and retired later that year. Brock Lesnar would continue to wrestle a handful of matches each year until 2024. In January of that year, Vince McMahon and WWE were accused of trafficking a female employee. While Brock Lesnar wasn't sued, he was revealed to be involved in what happened. WWE canceled plans to have Lesnar return at the 2024 Royal Rumble, and it's unclear if Brock will ever wrestle again. 10 years later, was it the right decision to have Brock Lesnar end the streak? Looking at what Brock Lesnar did after defeating Undertaker and how he was presented, WWE certainly utilized the victory. In addition, Brock Lesnar would also help elevate other wrestlers too. 5 years after he beat Taker, Lesnar fought Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 35 for the Universal title. Rollins got a clean victory over Brock, and this kicked off Seth's first Universal Championship reign. Likewise, the following year, Drew McIntyre defeated Lesnar at WrestleMania 36 to win his first World Championship. With the way Lesnar had been positioned, thanks in large part to his victory at WrestleMania 30, both of these defeats and others really meant something. On the flip side, other wrestlers had to have their momentum stopped in order for Lesnar to get to that point. Kofi Kingston, Dean Ambrose, Finn Balor, Braun Strowman, and Samoa Joe are just some of the wrestlers who had to be beaten in order for Lesnar to build his monster status and for his victory over Undertaker to be worth it. While the debate about the streak usually centers around whether it should have ended or not, or who should have ended it, there is one other angle that doesn't usually get talked about. At its core, wrestling is about emotion and experiences. The surprise return at the Royal Rumble gives fans excitement. The face winning the championship in the main event gives fans joy. The streak ending gave fans true sadness. It wasn't like a wrestler getting fired or being forced to retire, where the wrestler can eventually come back. After the referee counted the 3, the streak was over, and it was never coming back. That's why I said the moment and the emotion after the streak ended was real. In a world of scripted rivalries, methodically planned out matches, and predetermined outcomes, having something that truly was real is a moment that nobody who experienced it will ever forget.